up, YouTube? In today's video, we are going to be talking about 10 fat loss tips that have helped me a lot during my competition prep so far. I am 8 weeks in and 6 weeks out of this 14-week prep, and I've honestly implemented like a lot of things that I've never really tried before, and it's been extremely beneficial. A lot of these things I actually just do even when I'm not dieting, just because it's good to have the routine, good to have the consistency, and it's a lot easier to take things that you've used in the past and implement them for new goals. So if you're in a weight loss phase, a fat loss phase, or you're just trying to implement some better eating habits into your routine, a lot of these tips might just be super beneficial to you. So let's jump into it. First and foremost, the biggest piece of advice I can give you is eat more volume. Volume just means eat bigger plates of food. And it sounds contradicting because if you're in a fat loss phase or a weight loss phase or dieting as a whole, you're probably going to be eating less. And that's true, but there are things you can do to incorporate bigger portions of food while still eating less calories. For example, chicken breasts instead of chicken thighs. You're going to be able to eat more chicken breasts because it has less calories, less fat content. Same applies for lean beef versus fattier beef. A cut of steak is going to be way fattier than your typical 93% lean beef. And switching those two things out can be extremely beneficial in the amount that you can eat. I also use things like powdered peanut butter. It's gonna have the same amount of protein, but way less fat, so you can literally just eat more of it. Same with like potatoes over rice. A lot of people don't know this, but potatoes actually have way less carbs than rice do per 100 grams, and potatoes are going to be way more satiating. So potatoes are like a godsend when you are dieting, and believe me when I say that. Also implementing more vegetables, which we will dive deeper into in a bit, and then things like lower calorie sauces and just overall lower calorie alternatives. These things are just going to help you not going over your calories or use less of your allotted calories. So it's just going to be able to make you eat more and bigger portions. Tip number 2, protein. Make protein your main focus for every meal. This is because protein is the slowest digesting macronutrient, making it the most satiating macronutrient. So making this the main focus of your meal is going to keep you fuller for longer, and that is the goal. Tip number 3, even though we want protein to be the main focus of the meal, it could be really beneficial to have all 3 macronutrients in each meal. Now this might be a personal thing, but if I just have one meal of strictly carbohydrates or just one meal of protein, I just feel like I got gypped, and I want all 3. Even if the carbs on your plate are only a couple grams or the fat on your plate are only a couple grams, to me, it makes me feel better that I'm eating all 3, and it just makes me feel more satiated and honestly just not restricted per meal. Tip number 4, vegetables, dude. I know we don't all like vegetables, but vegetables are second in the most satiating category right next to protein because they're really high in fiber and they're really low in calories. So even if you don't like vegetables, adding a little bit of butter, a little bit of oil, salt, and pepper, and it makes vegetables a delicacy. Okay, maybe not a delicacy, but it at least makes them edible. And edible is the goal. Plus, putting more food in your mouth in general, personally, just makes me feel better. And I'm getting a lot of micronutrients, fiber. I'm making sure all the aspects of nutrition are being covered when I include more vegetables. Number 5, I really enjoy to time my meals throughout the day in an appropriate way so I'm not always thinking about when my next meal is going to be. I have the schedule to be able to eat every 3 hours most days of the week, and that just helps me and makes me feel better knowing I'm going to eat again very soon. Now, if you have a schedule that doesn't really allow for that, I would just increase your portions, but still making sure that you have specific times for the next time you're going to eat just overall is going to make you feel better about not obsessing about when you're going to eat again. Tip number 6 is macronutrient timing. Even though I said before that you should have all 3 macronutrients every single meal, it might apply differently to you. If you're somebody who has a sweet tooth, it might be more beneficial for you to save some carbs or fat for the evening. Like if you want a cookie at night or some kettle corn at night, it might be better if you have a little bit extra left over for those cravings. I personally don't have a sweet tooth, and maybe that was like a gift that I got, but I'm a savory gal through and through, so I just make sure I have all of my food scattered perfectly throughout the day. Also, because I'm in a competition prep, I usually eat bigger portions of carbs in the beginning of the day so I can have those readily available for me for my training sessions. But we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, so I don't really have a lot of carbs to eat, and I'm hungry and depleted anyway, so pick your poison. Tip number 7, low-calorie drinks or zero-calorie drinks and chewing gum. The carbonation in low-calorie drinks just fills me up more, and it makes me feel like there's more in my stomach, and I don't really think about food. Chewing gum is really just gonna help with the oral fixation, make you feel like you're chewing something, with getting like less than 5 calories per stick. And while I have you, there is literally zero evidence that artificial sweeteners cause cancer or make you gain weight or fuck with your hormones or anything that is a myth out there about artificial sweeteners. I personally think that everything is okay as long as it's used in moderation. Same with processed sugar, same with pretty much anything that people like to demonize nowadays. Moving on. Tip number 8, finding lower calorie alternatives. We live in 2022 and there is an alternative for everything. Dairy, meat, pasta, pizza crust, salad dressings. There is literally an alternative for everything that you can possibly think of, and use that to your benefit. Go to the grocery store, look down each aisle, and find different things that are going to be useful for you to eat more for less. Tip number 9, are you hungry or are you bored? Now, this might be simple and common sense, but the busier you are, the less you're gonna think about food. When I have days where I have a little bit more free time, like the weekends, I definitely think about food a lot more often. And finally, tip number 10, are you hungry or are you just thirsty? I highly recommend chugging a glass of water before you eat your meal. It's just gonna make you feel fuller, and you might actually find that you're not as hungry as you thought you were. You're just dehydrated. So, give it a whirl. I hope that was helpful for your fat loss, weight loss, or implementation of healthier strategies into your daily routine and life. If you have any questions, leave them below and I will get back to you ASAP. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. I'll see you guys in the next one.